Mirror twins. Identical, but opposite. A living reflection of myself. Exactly opposite. But yet the same. A reflection of my family.
I was 18. I was in high school when I found out I was pregnant. I went from a kid who couldn't really keep her room clean to a single mom of two. We did not have a lot, but we did have a lot of fun. London, Ontario, Canada is a hockey town.
Hockey was something we wanted to do. Everybody grew up, all our friends played. Everybody played it growing up, but it was just something that my mom and grandma couldn't afford in the moment.
I had heard about a football league, and the boys went out and were instantly pretty amazing at it.
The first time I ever saw Sydney and Chase, they were both very shy, and then they kind of stepped onto the field with these giant smiles and just took off.
The thing that I fell in love with right away was being able to compete against other kids. It's a completely different dynamic than competing against my brother. That was our opportunity to create an identity for ourselves.
They just showed up and they just worked. They are brothers and they like to fight and they like to compete against each other, but this was like something you've never seen.
Being a twin, everything we do is a competition. Trying to one-up each other.
Sydney wanted to be better than Chase. Chase wanted to be Sydney. I'm not letting Sydney get all the awards this year. I'm not letting Chase beat me in this race. 8 years and never lost a football game.
Sydney and Chase were really making a name for themselves. And then I found out that I was sick.
After having my sister, she kind of ran into some health issues. You could see it in her face, her energy.
I had ITP, which is a disease where your white blood cells attack your platelets.
Her whole body was just bruised, and she had to go for transfusions constantly. It was a very, very difficult time.
She couldn't go to work anymore. She wasn't able to be as active. It was a big change from who I remembered when I was young. No protectors, it will fall. It's kind of hard to explain just because you see this woman who's got all the life in the world and it's kind of being sucked away from her, especially with my sister who doesn't have an idea in the world of what she's getting herself into. So me and Chase knew in the moment that we were gonna have to kind of take a role in helping with my sister.
They turned into the little men of the house at 13 years old, and I depended on them way more than I probably should have.
We saw what was going on with my mom, but we didn't understand, like financially, it was gonna kind of rip us to the ground.
So I just started selling things, televisions, my bike, anything of value, really. We got rid of all of that. It hit the point where I lost my apartment. I don't know if there is lower you can go than homeless with 3 kids.
We had to stay in the shelter for the first time. It was depressing, like it was weird. I didn't want to be seen there. I didn't want my friends knowing what was going on.
That pushed them to never, ever want that sort of thing for themselves or their family.
we started to feel like football was a way out. Football was an opportunity to a new life for not only ourselves, but our family.
There's a lot of prep schools that have scholarships in the United States, and it gives them the opportunity to be seen by Division I football scouts.
My mom helped us fill out this application for St. Stephen's, and we get accepted. We make this 24-hour drive down to Bradenton, Florida. You see the palm trees, the waterfronts, just the beautiful properties all around. My mom knew that, this was going to be really good for us, but she was gonna have to leave us there and let go. It was a humbling moment going to that school. They threw us into a little testing room and they had us take a placement test. I barely wrote anything on it because I didn't know how to answer anything. I thought I was gonna get kicked out of school. I thought I was going back to Canada at that point.
It became apparent that their academic background was maybe a little deficient. When they were in junior high school, they were identified not as potential college students, but more trade school students.
So Phil Yates, who was an ex-military pilot, mathematician, took Chase and I into his hands. And I mean, we'd have study sessions at night, guiding us and tutoring us and teaching us how to study and how to be successful.
We wanted them to feel very comfortable in our home and help them to know that we were there for them. And very quickly, we became attached to them, and it started feeling like a family.
They were so focused on us in any way they could. And that was just something we weren't used to. I wasn't used to, for sure.
From a coaching standpoint, my biggest concern is, okay, we have two potentially very talented kids, but how will they fit with the culture? How will they fit with the kids who've been playing football here since 6th grade, which was, a part of our program?
He asked me about what type of offensive scheme I liked, and I mean, I didn't know offensive scheme back then. I just knew that I could run the ball and make people miss. When we played our first snaps for him, the way that we finished that game, beating a 4A school, and we're like, okay, we can do this. We can play football out here. Not only play, but we can dominate.
And from that point on, we won the next 22 games in a row. They did not lose a game that they played in while they were at St. Stephen's.
As my brother and I are making strides in the classroom and on the football field, my mom was doing well for herself as well. She was working at a local factory in town. She had a little place down in the south end of the city. So I'm like, this is the best situation possible.
The St. Stephen's Falcons just went back-to-back, winning their second state title in school history.
We just won the state championship. We're excited to go back home. But I'm thinking about how much different life was down there and just realized how much of an impact Phil and Karen had and how much I appreciated them for sacrificing their time and their energy to help us in our life.
As I took their suitcases out of the car and put it on the curb, I started saying goodbye, but then Chase turned to me and he said, "Phil, you've changed our lives." And of course, that was a pretty touching moment for me, and we hugged and they headed back to Canada.
When we get home, we realized that my mom was back in with my nan, and we were like, what happened? She said, "I hope that's okay." Asking me if that's okay, I didn't even know that was happening.
They covered a very good chunk of the tuition for that school, but there was still a chunk of money left over. It was $7,000. Doesn't sound like a lot to a lot of people, but for me, that was very difficult.
When times got a little bit tight, we did what we could to make sure that that tuition was paid one way or another.
pay rent and bills or send money to Florida. So no, I didn't tell them about that because they wouldn't have gone back to school.
I thought we weren't paying a penny. I almost felt kind of empty to my stomach because I didn't want them to go without, because at the moment it felt like I had everything. That took my thought process to, a different place. No matter how many times I heard how hard it was to go to the NFL, I didn't care about any of that. My focus was to be the best player I could every single week.
Welcome to the Fighting Illini football season.
In year one for both Sydney and Chase, I saw two really good football players that were on the verge of doing something special. Sydney Brown on the defense side of the ball, he was a catalyst to the physicality that we played with.
Sydney Brown is just relentless.
Chase became the nation's leading rusher for a reason and was very active in every phase of our offense.
Touchdown! Chase Brown.
They set the bar.
Interception. Picked off again. Sydney Brown. Touchdown!
And fortunately for us, that bar is very high.
Touchdown, Chase Brown. He burst through the line. Let's go! It's Chase Brown with all the yards. Sydney Brown with a pick to seal a bowl bid for the Illini.
During COVID, the borders shut down and took away my ability to see my kids at all.
She hadn't seen us play in at least 2.5 years.
The borders opened up just before their last game of the season. I left at 2 o'clock in the morning the night before the game, so I didn't tell them I was coming.
We're signing balls here and there, and when we got to the end,
what?
I was in disbelief.
No way. No way. You're kidding. Oh my
Just
God.
seeing their smiles and getting to hug them meant everything. We've been sitting and talking about all of the things that I've sacrificed or my mom has sacrificed, but they sacrificed a lot to get where they are. It was very special.
They carried the concept of family from the way that their mom raised them and the people that you're around them, and then all the people that added to their lives before they came to the University of Illinois. And I think that's something that over the last 2 years have taken them to a level of success that was second to none.
Family to me is so much bigger.
Family's more than blood.
It's the people around you who make that active effort to be there for you and make change in your life.
When we can love others like that, in my mind, that is family.
This is your time, so take it.
This entire thing's been a journey through the sport of football and off the field itself.
Now they're starting to say, okay, how do I help other people who were in the same kind of circumstances I was in?
Just know that you have resources around you. You have your coaches, teachers, you have us that will always help.
It has really taken this huge village to make these boys into the amazing men that they are.
I'm blessed, and I haven't done anything yet.
They both have degrees in business, and Chase is partway through a master's degree, which I know he can revisit after this next adventure.
Every single day is a new opportunity to chase that, to go after that. But it's up to you.
They're going to be part of our lives no matter what happens ever.
The more real you get with yourself and your dreams, the more unreal it gets. And one day you'll be playing in front of 100,000 people